Minnesota is the only place in the world, and maybe world's big, but that plays duck, duck, gray duck instead of duck, duck, goose for some reason.
I've never heard of duck, duck, goose. What's that?
That's duck, duck, goose. That's what you play. Duck, duck, gray duck.
I know that game.
Duck, duck, gray duck is what only Minnesota people play.
It's the right way to do it.
No, it's duck, duck, goose. What's a gray duck? It's still just a duck.
Yeah, but it's different than a regular duck.
How so? You don't classify what the other duck is before. You just say it's a duck. It could be a gray duck. What color is the duck that you're ducking first?
Could be green, could be blue, could be white, but the gray duck is unique. So that's why we play duck, duck, gray duck.
Could be a loon.
Bob and Nate, true American heroes. Bob and Nate, true American heroes.
Welcome to another edition of Uneducated Men. We are your true American heroes, Nathaniel and Bob. Nathaniel, top of the morning to you.
Good to see you, Bob.
It's fantastic to see you as well, even though this is a podcast. Most people can't see us. If they could, you know what they would be seeing right now, Nate?
Your constellation medal around your neck.
My third place 4-0 plus men's finish. Now, I came in third, should have came in second, and we can always say shoulda, coulda, woulda. We lost a game that we had no business losing. Had we won that game, I wouldn't be wearing this medal. However, it's in different brackets. Two teams from each bracket advance. We finished number 2. The first place team, we actually beat head to head, and we finished with the same amount of points and the same amount of losses. We both had one loss. However, they advanced to the gold medal game because of a point differential. Now, typically, it's a head-to-head comes first, and then the point differential is the tiebreaker if you didn't play each other, if there's more than one game. However, that wasn't the case. We all kind of said this is not right. The organizers still proceeded with that way. We went on and won the bronze medal match. That team went on and lost to the gold medal team. We then played the gold medal team because everybody knew that it was kind of a baloney setup. And we ended up losing to them 16-14. They were a very good team, actually. So we probably would have finished second. I'm happy that I stood on the podium and received my medal.
I'm shocked they even still give third place medals.
It's bronze. Actually, we don't call it third place. We call it bronze in the business pickleball world.
That's what you call what you spray on your body before you jump into the pool too, right? A little bronzer.
Yeah. That's what else should you use?
No, that for a guy like you, makes all the sense in the world.
Thank you so much. Like we're starting this show with a lot of compliments. I appreciate it. All right. So we got a big show. Big news recently, other than me finishing in the bronze medal game. Big D and Carissa, and I want to make sure I say that right because you've been having me purposely say it wrong, and I guess you've been having me say it wrong because, well, apparently she broke up with you when she walked in on you naked, lubing up your scooter, and she gave you the nickname Nano Nate. Ever since then, you've kind of had it out for her, and you've been purposely poking the bear with me saying her name wrong, but they have tentatively agreed to come on the show. And I can't wait. It's going to be my favorite show without question for sure.
That's a cute made up story that you had there. But look forward to having them. Nano was around much longer than before she was born. So
I know. I got it. Your mean parents made fun of you when you were 2. All we need now is to kind of solidify a date. I think Big D needs to find a babysitter. And from there, we should be able to lock it in, hopefully sometime in September.
Cool. Let's bring them up.
Yeah. You can do like a cool segment. It's like ask a guy anything, and we give them the real answer, not the one that guys typically give. When you're at a restaurant and you're with a girl and she said, "Hey, what are you thinking about?" And you go, nothing.
They're going to have some pretty thick accents. So maybe we just have them say a bunch of words with O in it. That'll be fun.
Like 4 words. Give me an example.
Boat.
Boat? What do they say?
Coke. No, you'll see it.
Okay. Well, I can't wait.
Everybody's going to have to listen or wait for that episode.
All right. So before I was so rudely interrupted, we can do this segment where the Ask the Guy Anything segment, and we give them the honest answer. When you're sitting in a restaurant and you're with a lady, and if there's like a break in the action and she goes, what are you thinking about? And we always say nothing. We'll be able to say, no, we're thinking about stuff. We're looking at the bartender across the way and wondering if we had a shot with her. That's kind of what I think we could be honest at this point.
I'm not following you at all in that game, but I'm down to try it.
Great. I can't wait to play it. It's going to be interesting. Last week, we talked about the Wisconsin guy who bashed on Minnesota, and you said this.
Yeah, the cities suck. The sports teams suck. It is turning politically aligned with Canada. I'll never be returning.
Basically just confirming what he said. And as a newly anointed Rosenite and a proud Minnesotan, I was a little upset that we didn't, you personally, but we allowed this Wisconsin man to just kind of bash on us without explaining to the world all these great things that Minnesota does. So if you don't mind, I put together a little list of some truly remarkable things that have come from or out of Minnesota.
Am I included on that list?
Checking the list. No, I don't see you on that list.
Well, it's not a complete list, but let's hear it.
Okay, wonderful. So sit back, grab some popcorn. I hear you're a big fan of sherry, so maybe grab a glass. Let's go. Music. Prince and Bob Dylan both came from the great state of Minnesota.
That is very true. Prince, obviously, he's a national or international superstar, or was, I should say, or formerly was. Bob Dylan is from northern Minnesota, up in the Iron Range, where one of our mega fans, Scooter, thought was in southern Minnesota, but it is in fact northern Minnesota. But Bob Dylan grew up in Minnesota. Then as a kid, I think he went off to some other state.
I wonder if that's like where the Vikings guy is. He's in the Iron Range, right? Ely?
That is in the Iron Range.
Literature. Charles Schultz of the Peanuts and F. Scott Fitzgerald from Minnesota. F. Scott doesn't mean anything. Do you know that? The F doesn't stand for anything. It's just F.
Fantastic.
Yeah, I know. So sports. There's so many hockey people to list, so I'm going to just give you some sports guys that are not hockey, if that's okay. Dave Winfield, Hall of Fame baseball player.
He played basketball and football for the U2, I believe.
Yeah, I was going to say he was a 3 or 4 sport letterman.
He was ranked the second greatest athlete from Minnesota, right behind yours truly.
John Madden is from Minnesota.
Yep.
Brock Lesnar.
Well, Brock Lesnar's from South Dakota, but went to college in Minnesota.
Okay. What about his beautiful daughter? Yeah. Okay, listen.
Yeah, I'm not. Yeah. If he's listening, I don't want to bash on her because she'd probably smoke both of us.
They look identical. So a little bit of fun history. Charles Lindbergh, the first Atlantic flight across the Atlantic, is from Minnesota. We have a U.S. president. Herbert Humphrey is from Minnesota. Wisconsin has 0 U.S. presidents. However, it is the home of the current Republican Party, which was founded in 1844, I believe, as an anti-slavery political party.
And still is to this day. So Hubert Humphrey wasn't a president, but he was in the running, no?
No, he was definitely a president.
I don't think that's correct.
Oh, we'll have to look it up.
Hubert H. Humphrey, the Metrodome was named after him, I believe, as well. But yeah, he ran, I think, against maybe Nixon. But yeah, he didn't win.
I can't imagine that they would name something after a guy that lost. But it's Minnesota, so maybe. Anyway, the Pillsbury brothers of the Pillsbury Doughboy, which, pasty, fat, white, dorky guys. That makes a lot of sense.
They wanted to name it Robert, but they went with the Doughboy instead.
That makes no sense. Target, Polaris, General Mills, Land O'Lakes Butter. I didn't know that. I have that in my refrigerator right now. And U.S. Bank are all major corporations from the great state of Minnesota.
A lot of genius people come from that state.
Yeah. So actors, there's not very many good actors, but there is one tall drink of water from there. Vince Vaughn. Vince Vaughn is a big Minnesota actor. Gave us
motorboat. You play the motorboat?
Well, there's also the greatest, which is Garrett Hedlund. Chris Pratt is also from Minnesota. And then Justin Timberlake's wife. She's from Minnesota as well. Yeah.
Jessica Alba. I think Judy Garland's from Minnesota as well, if I'm not mistaken.
Indeed.
From Wizard of Oz fame. Minnesota is the only place in the world, and maybe the world's big, but that plays Duck, Duck, Gray Duck instead of Duck, Duck, Goose for some reason.
I've never heard of Duck, Duck, Goose. What's that?
That's Duck, Duck, Goose. That's what you play. Duck, Duck, Gray Duck.
I know that game.
Duck, Duck, Gray Duck is what only Minnesota people play.
It's the right way to do it.
No, it's Duck, Duck, Goose. What's a gray duck? It's still just a duck.
Yeah, but it's different than a regular duck.
How so? You don't classify what the other duck is before. You just say it's a duck. It could be a gray duck. What color is the duck that you're ducking first?
Could be green, could be blue, could be white, but the gray duck is unique. So that's why we play Duck, Duck, Gray Duck.
Could be a loon. The longest streak of voting for a Democratic president is Minnesota since 1979. They are the only state that did not vote for Ronald Reagan in 1984. It was 49-1, Minnesota being the only outlier.
So Minnesota is a unique state because obviously in the urban areas, you're going to have primarily people that vote Democrat because they want all the free stuff. But then the Minnesota Democratic Farmers League. So a lot of farmers, at least back at that time, would vote Democrat because there was a lot of incentives that the Democratic Farmers League had or was on their platform that supplemented losses and such for farmers. So at that point in time, yes, but I'm not sure it's very strong anymore.
Do you think the farmers now kind of went red or is it still a strong blue hole?
Yeah, if you look at that map, it's like I said before, it's a little circle around the cities, and then the Iron Range, which are blue, and the rest are primarily red.
All right. Well, that concludes the why Minnesota's better than Wisconsin.
Now that you mention it, I don't think there's a single celebrity from Wisconsin worth mentioning. I don't think there's anybody that plays sports there. All of their athletes come from outside of Wisconsin.
JJ Watt is not from Wisconsin, or did he just go to Wisconsin college?
Yeah, he's not very good anyway.
Okay, so we had Outlaw on the show. We thought he did a great job. He didn't like the way his voice sounded. I don't know if anybody likes the way their voice sounds. Do you like the way your voice sounds when you listen to it?
No. I mean, yeah. I've been on some of the local news channels a few times, and I can't even rewatch it.
The funny thing is there's people that listen to this that say that our voices sound similar, and sometimes they can't tell who's talking. I don't hear it, but apparently that's a thing.
Well, if I listen back to the podcast, I do have a tough time telling the difference, and everybody tells me the same. You have a lovely voice, Bob.
Yeah, so do you. I wonder if I should change it up, though. Maybe do my
Morgan Freeman.
You're better off sucking down a helium balloon or something.
He was telling us the story, and you cut him off, and he never got to finish it. So he's talking about how his doctor had prescribed him to drink tequila and soda during COVID. And I guess the story to finish it up for him was he was drinking heavily craft beer, like a lot of people were during COVID. He went to get checked up, and his blood pressure was not very well, or his cholesterol or something. So the doctor said, I'm not going to tell you to stop drinking. However, I think you should switch to tequila and soda, and wrote him a prescription that said tequila and soda. So that was kind of the story that he was going with before he got cut off.
I like your doctor, Outlaw.
Yeah. Dr. Doolittle. No. What's the doctor from Motley
Dr.
Crue?
Who's Little.
Dr. Feelgood was his doctor. Yeah. I should cut in Motley Crue there. Okay. I incorrectly said that Kmart was the largest bankruptcy in the world. It was the largest retail bankruptcy in the world. The largest bankruptcy in the world was Lehman Brothers, and number 2 was Washington Mutual. Both of those collapsed during the Great Recession. $1 trillion those two imploded on. $1 trillion. That's incredible.
Last week's show, I was alluding to the fact that I thought Pizza Hut had gone bankrupt. To my surprise, Rissa and Big D gave me information that they do still exist in northern Minnesota.
They're making a comeback.
I guess.
The red roof and people going in for nostalgic visits and getting pizza. I think you're going to see a resurgence in Pizza Hut. They have an opportunity to grab it, the bull by the horns, shall we say. Do you remember the caramel conversation we had? Is it caramel or caramel?
Yeah, it's caramel. Why?
Okay. I'm just curious. But do you say it's police or police?
Police.
Police. That's correct. Yep. So
because it's an O.
Right. So it's posies, not posses. Moving right along.
Sure. So how do you apologize? How do you apologize? What word do you say?
What's word? I've never apologized. If you ask any of my ex-girlfriends or girlfriends, I apparently never apologize.
Once you do apologize to them after they listen to the show, do you say sorry or sorry?
I say, I apologize, my lovely lady. Please forgive me.
Well, try it. Sorry or sorry?
No, I'm not going to do this because I know what you want me to do. Because I make fun of you for saying, oh, sorry. But I say sorry.
Oh, so then sorry is spelled with an O, as is posse.
But it's not the same.
Sorry and posse kind of have the O pronounced the same way, no?
No, it's 2 different letters. A P has a different sound than an S. Come on, get with it. Wow, it's like considering apples to oranges here.
I'll take that forfeit from you.
You didn't take anything. That's terrible. Absolutely terrible. I'm right. You're wrong. It's posies. All right. We talked about Mitch Hedberg, and then we talked about also Dave Chappelle on the show. We got some feedback on who is the Mount Rushmore of comedians. Our good friend Bobby kind of works in the comedic world and has an opinion. He said that it was Murphy, Carlin, Hedberg, and Hicks were his 4 comedians. You agree with that?
No. Hedberg, as funny as we think he is, does not belong on the Mount Rushmore of comedians. I agree with Eddie Murphy. I think he was revolutionary when they released Delirious and then Raw. Carlin will go down as probably one of the most clever and groundbreaking comedians there ever has been. Richard Pryor should probably get some credit over Mitch Hedberg. I would also say you had brought up Dave Chappelle, which I think is pretty funny and his skits are good, but Chris Rock should be mentioned as well.
It's tough when you're picking good, great, funny people because everybody has a different taste. Somebody likes blue, some people likes clean. It's always a subjective thing. I think Hedberg is definitely up there. The thing about Carlin was that he was so politically great. His routine and the way that his delivery was probably unlike anybody else. I don't know if he was as funny as some of these other guys. I don't even know Bill Hicks. I know everybody loves him, but and maybe I should look him up, but I don't, you know anything from Bill Hicks?
Never heard of her.
And then you have guys like Adam Sandler that maybe weren't your traditional stand-up comedians. I can't tell you how many nights I sat listening to his CD when I was late teens, laughing my ass off with the goat and cock and balls. Oh, get your cock and balls from mommy.
Yeah, I agree. Sandler should be up there. From a country comedic standpoint, Jeff Foxworthy is probably the GOAT, but a guy named Rodney Carrington. If I listen to Rodney Carrington, I am in tears.
He sings too, right? He's a singing.
Titties and beer.
Yeah.
He does, yeah.
I think Dave Chappelle's Killing Me Softly is still one of the best shows I've ever seen. The best one I've ever seen was Mitch Hedberg. I saw his in the middle of the winter in New Jersey. I was hungover on a couch and couldn't move. And he came on and I couldn't get up to change the channel. So I just left it. And he was like, I'm Mitch Hedberg. And nobody knew who he was because he was at one of those dual comedians where a bunch of people came out. And he was like, how come you guys are here if you don't know who I am? And I was like, oh God, look at this guy. And then he just proceeded just one-liner after one-liner where I literally fell off the couch. I was laughing so hard at Mitch Hedberg. So he's definitely up there for me. What about Joe Coy? You like Joe Coy?
Not at all.
No?
No.
I guess because I think he's hilarious and dealing with Filipino women and especially like the Filipino moms, he's right on with that. They're either the nicest Filipino moms where it's like, oh my God, I love you. You're my best friend. Or they're the meanest Filipino moms. There's not anything in between with them.
Yeah, I mean, you could probably relate more than me, but I would say Dane Cook had his time in the sun, but I fell off a cliff about 5-6 years ago and really haven't heard much of him since.
No. Tosh, I think at one point was extremely funny. He had very good writers, you could tell for that show. There was a point where Tosh 2.0 or 1.0 or whatever it was pretty dope.
It's one of the nicest guys too. Like he pretends to be a dick on a show. At our time at the Mirage, when he was part of their lineup, had the chance to meet him and probably the kindest person that I met as far as from a comedy standpoint.
Did you like Chappelle Show? Did you ever watch that? Oh, I loved the Chappelle Show. I think the Rick James bit was probably one of the funniest things that I'd ever seen. I was at Panama City for spring break when that came out and it was like, I'm Rick James, bitch. That was just like, everybody was saying it. I'll tell you a funny spring break story since we're here. Do you know who Petey Pablo is?
Petey Pablo. I do not.
He's a rapper. And he sings Raise Up. North Carolina, come on and raise up. Take your shirt off. Twist around your head.
North Carolina, come on and raise up. Take your shirt off. Twist it around your head. Spin it like a helicopter.
Anyway, we were at a club called Spinnakers and I had my little buddy, Matty. Matty's about 5'2", and I had him on my shoulders. And in the club, all the guys had their girls on their shoulders, and I had little Matty. We were making our way up, and we get to the very front of the stage, and Petey Pablo comes out. I've never seen this guy. I have no clue who he is. He starts off his song, and it goes, who am I? And you're supposed to go, Petey Pab, motherfucker.
Who am I? Petey Pab, motherfucker.
Well, I didn't know. And unfortunately, he kind of got down in his little rapper stance and said, who am I? And then he put the microphone right in my face. And I screamed, I don't know. And he jumped back and he was like, Petey Pab, motherfucker. And I was like, oh, okay, sorry, Petey Pab. Nice to meet you. I'm Bob. I didn't know. And he does that song, Take Your Shirt Off. And he kept hitting us with his shirt. Anyway, funny Petey Pablo story.
Probably made your trip.
Yeah. Well, I tell everybody, story. Petey Pablo. Now I know who he is because of that song.
Because he slapped the shirt.
Yeah, little Matty probably got it the worst though.
North Carolina, come on and raise up. Take your shirt off. Twist it around your head. Spin it like a helicopter.
Here's some actors, some prominent actors that were stand-up comedians first. Jim Carrey was a comedian. Really, he was a face comedian. He didn't make a lot of jokes. He just did a lot of faces. Robin Williams, Whoopi Goldberg, Jamie Foxx, Michael Keaton. He was a stand-up comedian before he started doing like Batman and stuff. His real name is Michael Douglas, but he changed it because there's already a Michael Douglas. Adam Sandler, we talked about Ray Romano, and Jerry Seinfeld were all stand-up comedians before they got into acting.
Same with Tim Allen.
Yeah, Tim Allen, that's right. He's a big Republican. That's why they don't like him.
The Fresh Prince of Bel-Air was stand-up before he got to be the Fresh Prince, right?
No, he was a rapper.
Is that what it was? Oh, yeah, you're right. You're right.
He's saying parents just don't understand. I think that was his big one. Or girls of the world ain't nothing but trouble.
Mean to bust your bubble, but girls of the world ain't nothing but trouble.
Yeah, you know your rappers.
Yeah.
Except for one.
Which one?
Petey Pablo, motherfucker.
Petey Pab, motherfucker.
I know who he is now. Nate, so I watched this commercial. It's that Progressive commercial, and it's not the one with the dumb chick, but the one where they're like, "Stop becoming your parents." And there's some things that happen in there. I'm like, I've done that, and it made me think. Now that we're in our later years, let's say, you do things that your 25-year-old self would look at you and go, "Oh, you're embarrassment. I can't believe you're doing that."
I don't think so, because I still feel like I'm 25.
I feel I'm 25 too, but I don't do things like I did when I was 25. At 25, sleep was not important to me. I now track my sleep. Not only do I track it, I have a schedule and I abide by it. And if it doesn't work the night before, I go back and reevaluate it and say, okay, how can I sleep better? I have a whole ritual when I go to sleep and when I wake up. I have a pill organizer where all my weekly pills for the week. Now, it's a lot of supplements. It's not like for my glaucoma or anything, but yeah.
Grandpa Bob?
Back when I was 25, it was BC powder and a Gatorade every morning. And now it's magnesium before bed, glucosamine, and all kinds of baby aspirin. You don't do any of that?
No. But I did start recently when I filled out my last benefits. I did opt for life insurance, which I had never done before. So that kind of makes me feel old.
You don't do anything like kid wise where you're like, I can't believe I'm actually that dad?
Not really.
No.
I will say I'm starting to become my dad because I need glasses as I am now farsighted, and I'm going to need a hearing aid, which my dad never did. So I'm skipping up to my grandpa because now I still can't hear out of my left ear. So age is creeping up on me, but on the inside, still 25.
You got to be careful with that stuff because my dad, he took his hearing aid in last week to get repaired and he hasn't heard anything since.
I'll make sure to be conscious of that. Good job.
I got to get like a laugh track. That's what I think we're
You need
missing.
something.
Because if you ever watch Friends without the laugh track, it's just not as funny. But with the laugh track, it definitely, I definitely need. What do you mean I need something? That was, get out of town. I need something. 25-year-old me didn't have a cell phone. I think he would be very disappointed to see 48-year-old me not only have a cell phone, but how reliant I am on my cell phone, or I guess addicted to it, I should say. Like I can't put it down. And it's from our business. You miss a text from somebody or some type of important person. So you're always constantly checking it. It has to be off because you can't be that guy that has a ringtone. You can't even have it vibrate. You're in a meeting and it vibrates. People give you a dirty look like, whoa, what are you doing?
Drives me nuts. I was probably the first one in my graduating class to get a cell phone. So I used my graduation money to get a cell phone because I thought, well, when I'm in the tractor and if I break down or get stuck, I can now call the house and somebody will pick me up instead of walking back 3 miles. So I got the cell phone, went home. I was in the tractor, got stuck, no service, still had to walk home.
Look at all that money you saved on not getting that tattoo.
Yeah, worked out.
Yeah. And Fu got his.
Go Rams.
I didn't want a cell phone. I was the most anti-cell phone. This was way before texting. My mom got me one. I hated it. I had a girlfriend, I guess, kinda, and I went to Bennigan's after work. I don't know if anybody listening remembers Bennigan's, but that was like the place to go after you got off work. She kept calling. I finally answered and I'm like, hey, I just stopped at Bennigan's to get a beer. I was like 5 in at that point. And she was like, are you coming over? And I was like, yeah, I just got my tab. And I set down the phone and I went, fuck her, give me another beer. And I hear, what? And I went, oh shit. That was it. I got rid of the cell phone. I didn't have another cell phone after that until I was 26 or 7. And I think it was right when my daughter was about to be born. I was like, I need to have a cell phone. And till this day, I just love not having one. I remember telling my friends, the exact words were, I'm either at home, work, or with you guys. Why do I need a cell phone?
You know why they called it Bennigan's, right? Well, they first called it Ben's, but it was so good that you'd always go back again.
Really? I think you made that up. Yeah, you did. Okay. I don't know why. I sometimes I believe you, and then they're so bad that I'm like, that has to be true. And then
let's go to Ben's again.
Yeah, let's go to Ben. That doesn't even go together. Ben's again. Ben again's. Oh man, I can't believe I even thought that might be true for a second. But yeah, I can't leave the house without my cell phone. I will turn around if I'm halfway down the street and my cell phone's at the house.
Yeah. Your entire career relies on it. It's all email, text, phone calls. Your personal cell phone is now the most important tool at the workplace.
It's not just out of the workplace. It is the most impactful creation in human history. And what I mean by that is it provides you with information at the touch of your fingers. You can look up anything you want in a second, in a millisecond. But it's also the most destructive because of all the social interactions that we're missing and all of the things and people being able to connect with you at any moment. That's hard for me, especially when it comes to the ladies and you have to feel like you have to text right back.
You should know better. You don't text right back. You got to wait a little while. That might be your problem.
Maybe. Well, here's my problem is initially I text right back. even though I don't want to. And then as the things progress, then I don't text right back. And it's like, what's wrong? We played this game up front. And anyway.
Yeah, and you lost it.
I've lost every single time.
I mean, at some point, is college even going to be necessary with all of the AI capabilities we have? I could walk up pretending to be a surgeon, put on YouTube, and I could probably do a heart transplant.
You can learn anything on YouTube. I've said that from day one. Not only can you learn anything to do on YouTube, fix your car, whatever, but you can learn any skill on YouTube, and you can do it within 30 days. I'll give you an example. I could learn to sing baritone like Andreas Bocelli within 30 days. Almost similar to the way that I did my Morgan Freeman impersonation. I could learn to do that. So 30 days from now, I could come on here and sing Andreas Bocelli.
I would love to take that bet for 20 push-ups that in 30 days, you'll sound nothing like Bocelli.
Nothing like? Okay. Or nothing like. Wait, you're saying
So
I will sound nothing like?
I want to hear Bocelli sing and you the same song side by side.
8:23. So a 9:20, whatever, 3, or the Sunday closest to that, I will sing Conte Partio by Andreas Bocelli for 20 push-ups.
I can't even verify you said that right, but okay.
Perfect. Anything else that you just do now that you just never imagined you would be doing that you want to wrap this amazing topic up with?
I would say doing a podcast is probably the most adult thing that I'm doing right now.
Yeah, this is a fantastic decision on your end. Congratulations. You are now 1 for 2,000.
Hello, Zimbabwe.
Yeah, whatever happened to them? I haven't seen anything from anybody in Zimbabwe since. I wonder if you pissed them off. Your terrible joke.
Perhaps.
All right, let's go into this. How do I want to start this? So we've talked a lot about the WNBA for various reasons, some good, some bad. They're going through a major turmoil, I guess you should say, with the trans athletes. And now people are showing up to the WNBA games with XXXY shirts. It's caused some controversy. One of the owners of the team yelled at some little kids. Another family was asked to leave or asked to take the shirts off. And I understand people's right to go out and say, hey, we don't believe in men and girls sports and we want to showcase this. But at the same time, why are you going to their place of business to protest, surrounded by people that don't agree with you? Why go poke the bear? Why do we have to go do this?
I would say the WNBA is probably the most controversial league in the news right now, right? And they do say there's no such thing as bad publicity, but will this damage or kill the WNBA with all the transgender rights, men playing in women's sports? The two gentlemen that formerly played in the NBA are now making themselves available for the WNBA draft. It just seems like a lot of drama that even myself would just eventually dip out on and say, carry on. It's kind of like the NBA. I haven't really watched an NBA game since they kind of forced their political views down my throat, and I just gave up on it.
Well, that happened with the NFL, you remember? And it divided it, and the NFL had to come out and say, sorry, guys, we're not doing this. It took them a little longer than it probably should have. Kaepernick basically was exiled from the league because nobody wanted to deal with that. They knew that it was a public relations nightmare. Dumbass Nike just kept going with it. I don't know if you've seen this, but Nike just hit its 52-week low, and it's trading at, I think, close to an all-time low for the stock. It's just one of those things where I don't know if it's going to damage the league, because they'll fix it before the NBA draft. They won't let these guys play, and it will all kind of go away, just like the Kaepernick thing did. But it's not like they're a profitable league anyway. The NBA subsidizes that league. It's one of those things where I think they've gained in popularity. You and I talk about it. I've watched some games recently, basically because of headlocks, but I did watch them. That wasn't true before. And I think Caitlin Clark and Angel Reese and all the fights that are going on, I think that stuff's good. The drama on the court is good for the WNBA. Your girl, Sophia, fighting with people, that's good for the league. It is. You want to see that kind of competitiveness.
And it's kind of hilarious. Every, I guess, liberal city that she goes to play in, so Toronto and then most recently Seattle, the entire crowd boos her when she gets on the court.
That goes back to my point. That's the demographic. So why go into the hornet's nest to pick a fight with people with these shirts? It just doesn't make sense. This isn't just this one issue. It's almost every issue. If there's an other side to it, somebody from the other side comes in and agitates or aggravates. You ever seen these guys on like TikTok or one of these things where they're just filming people and people are like, hey man, why are you filming me? And it's like, I got a constitutional right to film you. And it's like, well, don't film me. Well, what are you going to say? I'm on a public street. I'm going to film you. And the guy's like, I don't understand why. Like, why be that agitated? Why be that dingleberry?
That's what makes the news, man.
I don't understand why we have to be combative all the time. If they don't want to include you in it, then don't do it. Why do women want to be a part of Augusta National? I don't want to be a part of any woman's society. I'm not going to protest if they don't let me in.
I disagree with you, Bob. You play a lot of pickleball, which has kind of turned into a female society. I think you're unknowingly in one.
That is maybe... You say a lot of dumb things on the show that might be the number one.
Pickleball is like the least manly sport of all sports.
Yet I whoop you up in it every time.
It's less manly than the WNBA.
That is, no, the WNBA is pretty manly, so you might be right there. The Buccaneers won the Super Bowl. They beat Philadelphia in Philadelphia to go to the Super Bowl. And I went the next year to the opening day in Philly with a buddy of mine, and we painted our face and we wear our Buccaneers stuff. It was quite possibly the dumbest thing I've ever done.
After you just got done saying, why do people agitate or poke the bear?
Well, that's exactly this. I went there and I did that. And we went to a place called Roosevelt Park to drink and party. And it was just so dumb. I can't believe we did not die or get beat up. It was just really stupid. And that's what they're doing. They're going into these places just to, I don't know how to even explain it. It's just stupid. Just leave it alone. Don't go to a WNBA game if you don't like what they're standing for. I'm not going to go to a Kamala rally.
And that goes back to one of our episodes talking about how when we were in grade school, we never smarted off to the older kids because they would kick our butt, throw us in the locker, do whatever. And now the older kids aren't allowed to do that. So all these whiny little kids that love to smart off, they're the ones that are now going into WNBA houses wearing XXXY t-shirts, being the agitators. Because nobody could put them in their place back when they're young.
As bad as bullies are, sometimes you learn a lot from bullies. You learn when to shut up and when to just mind your own business. You grow up in a bad neighborhood, you tend not to be in other people's business as much as... What is it? It's affluent, rich white people that always want to be poking the bear because they've just never seen something they shouldn't have saw and had to run. Not that you and I grew up in terrible neighborhoods. There wasn't probably a lot of gang banging on the farm. Well, actually, there probably was.
If you consider the herd of cows a gang, then yeah, my neighbor, anyway.
Yeah, that didn't go the way you thought. That one definitely not getting cut. Trump just signed the Genius Act, and he came out and he said this.
Which was genius.
Legislation known as the Genius Act. I named it after myself.
Of course he did.
Yeah. Anyway, but it's really not. It stands for Guiding and Establishing National Innovation for Stablecoin Act. It's a legislation they've been working on since he came in. There's been a lot of pushback from the banks because the stable coins and bitcoins and cryptocurrency challenged the banks. And there's a guy named David Sachs who was the crypto czar that really pushed this over the line. I just want to tell you a little about this because Bitcoin just rocketed once this got signed, which is great for me because I own Hood, and Hood trains with Bitcoin, and Hood went to 110 this Friday. So yay, Genius Act. But let me give you a couple things. It's a law that establishes a clear federal standard on who can issue U.S. peg stablecoins. So a stablecoin is cryptocurrency, but it's different from like a Bitcoin. Bitcoin isn't tied to anything. It's just basically a scam. A stablecoin being pegged means you have one stablecoin. It has to be pegged to a U.S. dollar or some type of fiat currency. And it's generally a 1-for-1. And if it drops below, somebody comes in and buys it and gets it back up. So there's a bit of security in owning stablecoin.
Well, I take your word for it because if there's anybody that knows about a good pegging, it would be you.
I think you're trying to make a joke there, but there's a lot of ladies that agree with you. So 70% of all stablecoins right now are offshore. This law allows these people to come back in to legally be in the United States. Banks have stablecoins now. So the reason why stablecoins are important because we have currency throughout the world that are all different. When you go to Canada, you'd have to go up and get some loonies, trade in your American dollars, and then go to the strip club. Eat French fries and gravy, and you'd have to go do an exchange. With the stablecoin, it's a universal currency. So I can pay you in Zimbabwe with stablecoins that's backed by the US dollar, and you can then take it out in your money instantaneously. There's no credit card fee or wire fee when you use stablecoins. It's on the block. For a business that will eventually accept stablecoins, they don't have to pay American Express 3%. So there's some really great things that come with the stablecoins. Now, it's not all roses. If you put your money in the bank, you get interest. That's why some people have savings accounts. But with the stablecoin, there's no interest. And that was because the lobbying from the big banks. And it's not autonomous like cash. I can pay for something in cash and nobody knows I did it. Stablecoin, every transaction is logged on a blockchain, so they know exactly the transaction. And then there is no FDIC. So you're not have your money guaranteed. So there is a risk that you could lose it. But the reason why this is so important is because you're going to see a change here in the cryptocurrency. You're going to see a change in some of these fintech stocks. The Genius Act, I think, is going to have a positive on the stablecoin. You don't do Bitcoin, do you?
I don't do any of that now, but it sounds like I'm going to have to start learning it.
You don't have Fart Coin or Trump Coin? Did you buy any Trump Coin? It went to 80. It's at like $3 right now. Like, you got to, I feel bad for everyone. Well, look, if you bought it at 80, there's everybody who's always like, oh, it really stinks if you bought it at 80. You're more than likely not holding it if you bought it at 80. You probably sold it around 50 or 60, but then somebody else bought it and it went down. Somebody else bought it and went down. And now it's trading at $3.
I don't understand it, cryptocurrency at all. I get the very high level gist of it, but yeah, my brain can't comprehend it.
Yeah, mine either. I don't like it. I like stable coins because it's, like I said, it's pegged to a US dollar.
There you go. Pegging
most of the
again.
time. And it is. Peg leg Greg. Oh yeah, I tell you that we got a guest tomorrow. Guest next week. Greg's going to come on. He's a big time Republican coming from California. He's from Orange County. I guess that's supposed to be like the reddest,
Yep.
the reddest county in the world. He said. I said, okay. Biggest Trump boat parade. Derek Kavanaugh got stabbed 22 times. Derek Kavanaugh from our great state.
Yep.
He's in jail for murder of George Floyd. And there's now been a lot of online calls for President Trump to pardon him.
Elon Musk even came out and said that he needs to be released.
Yeah.
Which I don't disagree. I mean, we all know how George Floyd did in fact die. It wasn't by any sort of strangulation of him being on his back, but he was definitely the martyr, and it's time to release him.
So two things, and this is where I have a challenge with this, is two separate autopsies. Both of them concluded that George Floyd died of asphyxiation from the knee being on the back of his neck. Now, there's other contributing factors. He had 11 nanograms of fentanyl in his system, and they will tell you anything over 7 is overdose, but if you have built up a tolerance, you could have much more. Prince died of fentanyl, and he had like 67 nanograms. Now, his Vicodin was actually fentanyl, and it wasn't Vicodin. He was kind of tricked. It's a challenge for me because there's two things. One, I don't know if you can release him, because if you do it, you're just going to destroy the country. He may not have meant to kill George Floyd. I don't think he went out to do that, but I think he caused it.
He did follow protocol on which he was trained. For when you have somebody that is not following directions, that's how you detain. I think he did his job. All the officers there did their job, and they got a bad rap out of all that.
7 minutes does seem like a long time to have your...
Did you watch the footage at all, the police cam footage?
I didn't watch all 7 minutes. I saw what everybody else has seen. I didn't watch the entire thing. Have you watched the entire 7 minutes?
I don't know if it was 7 minutes at all, but from the beginning of arrest to, the very end, I did watch it. And he was given many chances to not be in that position, which he refused to do so.
Here's the thing that I find interesting is the same people that call for him to be in jail for the rest of his life for accidentally, and we can say this, accidentally killing George Floyd. I don't think he purposely meant for George Floyd to die, are the same people that are cheering and supporting the lady that just killed her 3 kids by strangling them. And they're out there in their shirts and waving signs for this lady who purposely killed all 3 kids because they think she had a mental health disease and she should be free. But the guy that accidentally does something while he's trying to perform a dangerous job in the duty, they're all against. I think that's a very strange dichotomy. I don't know. It's a tough one. I don't think if he does pardon him, I don't think he'll pardon him now. I don't think that will happen. I don't think he'll pardon him at the end of his term. I think he might commute his sentence. It's going to destroy the nation.
Even if Derek was released, like what kind of a life is he going to have? He's going to have to be under some sort of protection plan, right?
Yeah, I don't know where he goes. He has to leave the state, but there's not a lot of places he can go. But eventually, I mean, look, OJ found a world and lived happy. The lady, what's her, Casey Anthony, that killed her daughters. She's out there living. What's the one guy that shot Trayvon Martin? George. Anyway, he's living a world somewhere.
But none of which got the press. Obviously, O.J. Simpson had a ton of press. That was, I think, under different circumstances, and it wasn't politically charged like this one is.
Yeah, you make a great point. So we didn't get to Shady Like a Tree last week because we kind of ran over, but I wanted to talk a little bit about a new company that's Shady Like a Tree. Nate, before I go, do you have any Shady Like a Trees? You got anything for us?
I don't know. Let's hear yours.
All right, so Shady Like a Tree Gatorade. I drink the Gatorade Zero packets. I've been drinking these for a couple years. By the way, when did electrolytes just become salt? I mean, or the other way around. When did salt just become electrolytes? Like if you see anything that says electrolytes, it's just salt.
Yeah, but would you buy it if it said it's full of salt?
No, that's some clever marketing. It's the same thing like cannabis is now, or marijuana is now cannabis. We change the name of something and now it's good. Salt's not bad for you. Don't get me wrong. You will die faster without salt than you will with water. Let's go back to this Gatorade stuff. Gatorade sells 10 electrolyte packets. They were about $3 and they slowly made their way up to about $5, and they started to creep above $5, and I'm assuming sales kind of started to push back at that $5 mark, right? It's called price elasticity, and companies now, they track it. They have so much data. They know where it is. They knew they couldn't get much more sales above $5, but it's a corporation and it's a capitalist, and they want to make more money. So what did? They did a rebranding. They depleted their shelves of all the old boxes, completely ran dry for about a couple of weeks. I was like in panic mode because I didn't know what I was going to drink. And then they came out with a new redesign. And the new redesign was the same price, but it only had 8 sticks instead of 10. So now you're paying the same price for less. And this is what shady corporations do. And we've seen it across the world where you're going to start paying more for less. Raising Cane's did this, where you used to get these big ass chicken fingers and now you get these little tiny nuggets, but they charge you more than they did before. My Shady Like a Tree is Gatorade for taking their 10-pack to an 8-pack, but still charging the same amount of money.
Well, maybe their cost of goods has gone up with the Strait of Hormuz closure because maybe there is salt coming from that part of the region that they can't get anymore.
Yeah, absolutely. That's not what happened. Like there's salt out anyway. But we'll blame that. Let's go with that.
I was trying to see the bright side of things.
Liquor companies are doing this too, though. You know that, right? So 750 milliliters was the standard retail bottle. It's 700 milliliters now. And in a few years, everywhere will be 700 milliliters.
Well, 700 milliliters is standard in Europe. So some of those bottles are probably making their way here. For example, the Blanton's Gold Edition, which is cast strength, was only available in duty-free shops in Europe. And now there is a market for it here in the United States, and they kept the same 700 ml bottle. I don't know if you're going to see that change.
I promise you will. You're already starting to see it. I can give you examples. Patron, where you went to, their Cierto, with their top of the line additive-free tequila, is now in a 700 milliliter bottle. Westland single malt American whiskey is in 700 milliliter bottles. Once somebody does it and you can save a shot, basically everybody will start to get on, because I can still charge $20 for my bottle, but I'm going to save 50 milliliters, and over 1 million bottles. That's a big savings. They're all going to go to it. That's just how it works.
Well, in this case, I would be willing to bet that they don't want 2 different bottle size for that, and they want to share the same market in the US as Europe. So instead of getting 2 different bottlings, they're just doing the one just to save them some time, Westland included. I can see that happening.
What I'm saying is eventually they will all go to this, though. Without question. If there's no pushback on it, why would we pay more in cost? That's just where it's going to get to. And it's such a minimal thing and nobody's going to say anything. That's how you get smaller and smaller and smaller. I'm sure at some point it was only liters, and then they went to 750 milliliters.
But they're also selling less liquid that way, which is also kind of goes against what their goals are. Or you'll see distributors trying to pump in the 1 liters too, just to get more shelf placements. So you'll see Tito's, for example, you'll see a 50 ml, a 200 ml, a 375, a 750, a liter, and a 1.75. You will see shelves with all of those sizes on there. I
can make it a 700 milliliter in place of the 750, and nobody's going to notice. And I'm still going to charge the same amount. Do you remember Airhead, the candy bars? I love Airheads. When I was growing up, Airheads were like 8 inches long. They're like 4 inches long now. You're still paying the same price for them, but over time they've gotten smaller and smaller. I'm sure candy bars across the board have gotten smaller, and then now they have the jumbo size. And jumbo size is probably just the normal size that they wear.
Well, let's also remember though too that these suppliers or producers, they can't dictate what that shelf price will be either, because that's coming from what the distributors are selling them to.
Sure. Good point. Let's talk about Canada.
All smart men leave Canada, and Harley did too.
We love Canada. Not.
Nate, you had one job at the fantasy football draft that was way too early, was to bring back a Canadian on the show. You had 2 of them. One of them agreed, and here you and I are without our Canadian counterpart. So I don't know if you failed or what happened there.
I mean, do you honestly feel like you can trust any Canadian?
Good point.
Yeah, that's the Canadian being a Canadian.
Come on the show. Let's hear what you have to say. We bash you all the time. You have the opportunity to come in and tell us how we're wrong.
Yeah, eh? Nothing better to do, eh?
What's fun to do in Canada besides hockey?
Curling?
Yeah.
Hunting?
Okay.
I don't know.
Yeah.
I try not to go up there.
I don't blame you. On the last show, you talked about the Canadian government that had spent billions of dollars on some type of survey or analysis that had ranged over different prime ministers, started with Trudeau and now into the current Carney, I think his name is. And you were right. they've spent over $8.4 billion on consultant fees to find out efficiencies and how the federal government can run. An official federal audit showed they had virtually nothing to show for the $8.4 billion that they spent. Nothing.
It's like the opposite of Doge. They purposely wasted money to try to find efficiencies, and there were no efficiencies.
There was not. I don't even know if they did any efficiencies. They just spent money on these outside companies that came in, and one of the studies showed that people were doing things wrong and they did nothing about it. It was pretty bananas. So last night, I don't know if you know this, but a 50% tariffs went into effect against Canada. They did not come to the trade agreement, and then Canada came out and said, we're going to match dollar for dollar. And if you look on social media, the left wing of our country is supporting Canada. They're like, go get them, Canada. Stick it to the Americans. You're like, wait, I get it. I'm not a fan of these tariffs. You may not like Donald Trump, but at the same time, you shouldn't be rooting against our interest, even if it's with an ally. This will all get cleared up. That's Canada, and that's our left wing. That's idiots.
That they are. Can't get out of their own way.
To our Canadian friends listening out there, just let you know, please come on the show. Tell us how we're wrong. We're not, but we'll give you the opportunity to at least try to tell us. What's your favorite segment, Nate?
I'm guessing that's our segue into headlocks.
Headlocks of the day.
That's right, headlocks. Your headlocks won last week.
No doubt about it.
What you got for us?
So tomorrow, back to the WNBA, our favorite sport to talk about. We have the Atlanta Dream, which has been hot. Angel Reese had a career game with the first WNBA player to score 20 points, I believe, in the first 30 minutes with 10 rebounds and 8 assists. So she was a monster yesterday, coming off a couple poor performances from the free throw line. Angel Reese and the Atlanta Dream will be in LA tomorrow at 5 o'clock. The Atlanta Dream are -8.5, and the over-under is 184. But Atlanta is a offensive machine. LA kind of sucks. They have it's like the opposite as far as a defensive machine. They'll allow a lot of points. So I see the Atlanta Dream going into town, beating them by, let's say, 20 with a total over 190. So the Atlanta Dream -8.5 with the over is your headlock of the day.
I can't wait to place that bet because I like making money.
Don't we all, Bob?
Did you see? I guess there was a game between Angel Reese and Caitlin Clark, and Angel Reese missed the final 2 shots. I think she airballed one and then missed the layup. And there was like a meme of Caitlin Clark walking behind her and just with this big Cheshire grin, just in slow motion. I don't know if you saw that.
No, I saw it. It was pretty hilarious. She's making up for some lost time.
From a market perspective, we talked about Hood earlier in the show. It's up to 108. The Genius Act has helped that. I also own a company called Bull. I own a lot of that too. That jumped up to almost $10 from $7 on this news. They also had good earnings. So fintech is coming back. If you're looking to invest, I would look at SoFi, Bull, Hood, any of the fintech companies. It can continue to run as Bitcoin does. Before we go, Nate, I got a question for you.
Let's hear it.
When you're dropping a deuce, are you underwear down to the knees, or do you drop full all the way down to the floor?
I take everything off.
Everything.
Yep. Shirt, cowboy boots.
Even when you're at work?
Yeah.
So you just like hang it up on the back?
I just leave it on the floor.
Okay. That's interesting.
Well, what do you do? I do the same when I stand at the urinal too.
I go. Have you ever walked in and seen that? Like where a grown man has his pants all the way down. Usually has alcohol to do with it, but yeah, that's pretty fun. I generally go to the knees. The other day out in the bathroom, and I had like one leg off, and I guess I thought if there's a fire, I could get back in it and ready to go, but I thought that was weird. And then I just been thinking to myself lately, is it weird to drop it all the way down to the ground, especially in a public situation?
Well, fun conversation. Glad we could do it in public.
There was a guy went to Chili's that was had his all the way down, and I threw water on his pants. And he came out of the bathroom, and he was a lot bigger than I thought he was going to be. I mean, he was a big dude, and he had like different water spots all over his khaki pants. And yeah, oh man, I was going to get killed. That was a rough one.
I used to do something when I worked at Mandalay, and my buddy Jesse, we'd go to the bathroom at the same time naturally, because they're not going to shake themselves. But I would be washing my hands at the urinal and wait for him. So he'd come wash his hands, and he'd turn around, start walking towards the paper towel dispenser. I'd cup the water in my hands and then throw it in his crotch area, so it looked like he peed his pants.
Did you ever pee on anybody's shoes that were standing next to you? Like if their feet were sticking out underneath the divider? No,
only on purpose. Yeah.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Not on accident. Your buddy would have his feet that would stick out too far, and you're like, oh yeah, look. Oh, yeah. That's 25-year-old me thinks that's funny.
Scooter and I, we used to go to some country music festivals back in Minnesota, and the porta potties always had a line, and we didn't have time for that. So we just look at each other and then pee between each other's legs.
The best, without question, especially if you get to a point where everybody's had a few, is you're with a friend and they're going to the bathroom and you just kind of push them into the stall in the urinal. They can't keep their balance, but they're too drunk. And then the next thing you know, they're like all into the urinal. Luckily, we have a lot of guys that listen to this show. Most people don't get this far in the show anyway. So, all right, Nate, that wraps it up. Hopefully next week we'll get our buddy Greg, and then soon we'll have Big D and Carissa on the show. I'm excited. This has been a fun day. Fun day for sure.
All right, Bob, good luck in your stocks. Good luck in your headlock. Well, I shouldn't have to wish you luck. Enjoy your headlock of the day, and we'll talk to you soon.
And I'm going to bask in the glory of my performance yesterday in pickleball. Thank you. Have a great day.
Have fun with your bronzer.
Yeah.
True American heroes. Bob and Nate, true American heroes. Bob and Nate, true American heroes. Bob and Nate.